Nearly 10 years after its release date in 2012, the Planet Eclipse GEO 3.0 is the dollar for dollar best used marker one can buy even today. And my friend Chris Caputo at CC Films, he's the one you're going to be watching ripping this gun at Division 2. He agrees with us. Let's get right into it. It's not just Chris, it's the entire Leverage line that's ripping the GEO 3 in 2022. And they're just not getting sent home early. This is a podium team. This is a team that's consistently either winning events or making the podium. So shout out the entire boys on Leverage. We also have to shout out Enemy the State PB and Jonah HXR. Those were the two who recorded this baller Chris Caputo footage. Take notes, guys. None of the other channels on YouTube will be willing to discuss the used market. That's because they're out there making content just to sell you shit. This is all about the scene. This is all about keeping affordable markers in people's hands that perform at a very high level. All right, guys, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but since the last time I talked about the GEO 3 and what an awesome marker it is, the price has shot up significantly. Maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I was able to get GEO 3s at about $300. Sometimes they'd have an IV, sometimes they wouldn't, but GEO 3, $300. The Planet Eclipse GEO 3.0 without an IV core sells for about $450. If you're getting your GEO 3 with an IV core, that's anywhere from $550 to $600. The IV core itself is in very high demand. Expect to pay between $150 and $200 for the IV core a la carte. A major part of this video is going to be discussing why this gun is so expensive and in such high demand after so many years. After thinking it through, there are so many reasons, but a good place for me to start is the Planet Eclipse GEO 3 shoots absolute fucked hits. You don't even need the IV core. No IV core, 20 balls a second. Let's see what it can do. Stop! Holy shit.
Buttery smooth.
Playing among them.
You guys have fun?
I get asked all the time by a lot of my audience, what does the IV core do, and do I really need one? Well, the answer is you don't exactly need one, unless you need to shoot 10, 11 pods. So the stock GEO 3 core gets you about 8 or 9. If you're adding in the IV core, you're getting into 10 or 11 pod range. And if you're playing high-level national paintball and you're a back player, you may actually need to spring for that IV core upgrade. When you upgrade to the IV core, the GEO 3 becomes even more quiet. So the stock bolt gets super quiet, especially when you have the SFR set all the way down. But when you add the IV core, it gets even more quiet. You also get the added benefit of about 10% reduced kick. A well-tuned GEO 3 stock core shoots pretty much as good as a well-tuned GEO 3 IV core, but the main benefit is the efficiency. The fringe benefits are the sound signature and the shot quality. Those that have owned GEO 3s recognize that it's a superior gun to the CS1 generation. That's just a fact. Those CS1s that came immediately after the GEO 3 generation, they were bulky guns. They turned a lot of people away from Eclipse. So people who've owned the GEO 3 and the 3.5 and the 3.1, they're just sitting on them because there really isn't anything better unless you upgrade to that CS2 and GEO 4, but those are nearing $1,000. These are still around $400 to $600. Some of the blame for the GEO 3 hype train needs to fall on my shoulders. I've been recommending this gun for about 3 years, and every time I say something positive or reference it in a video, I see that GEO 3 price just creep up $50. You also have Chris Caputo, who is just slaying people at D2 with Leverage. So you see an ag lord, you see this guy who's ag as fuck balling out with the GEO 3, you're gonna be like, damn, I want that gun. I'm gonna go find one. And then over the years, these GEO 3s, there's less and less available parts, there's less and less fully functional guns, so you have a supply and demand situation, but the demand has increased because you have myself and you have Chris Caputo just singing this gun's praises at every turn.
Chris Caputo here, CC Films, shooting the best gun in the game right here, the GEO 3. Gun feels lightweight in the hands. The one ball on is insane. Quick shooting video. Every time. Just came off of a win at Sunshine State shooting this bad boy, so you know what it is.
The GEO 3 is a massive milestone in terms of improving the shot quality of Planet Eclipse spool valve markers. The GEO 1 and GEO 2 were not guns that I liked to shoot. They were very poppy, they were very snappy, the paint handling wasn't great, they would vent gas in a very strange way. I really never had good luck with the 1 and 2. So during that time, I would either shoot Luxes or I would shoot dye guns, because the dye guns were really cheap and they had great shot quality. Eclipse, on the other hand, always had that legendary reliability. Eclipse guns break less than other manufacturers. That's a fact. Fight me on it. So you're taking the shot quality, which was the weak point of the GEO 1 and 2, and massively improving it with the advent of the SFR, the solenoid flow restrictor. So you're getting Eclipse reliability, but a shot that used to only be found on a dye gun or a Lux. The GEO 3 really put Eclipse on the map for a spool valve gun, and this thing is just legendary even today. This video actually got delayed just a little bit because I wanted to get a GEO 2 in my hands and compare the GEO 2 to the GEO 3. It is night and day. The 2 doesn't even shoot that good. It might be a little out of tune, to be totally fair, because I am using just budget paint, and this is just straight out of the mailbox. Drive to the local field, test out the GEO 2. So this GEO 2 did not shoot good. Go. So many of you hit me up with negativity about finding these guns. Like, I remember recommending the Vanquish at like the $350 price point. And then some of you guys hit me up with this negativity like, I went on ANS Gear and they only had one Vanquish and it was $1,325. You're an idiot, Soup. I hate you. Well, dude, we're talking about used guns, and you gotta look for used guns in the right place. That starts with Facebook BST groups. Make sure you're buying your used markers from an individual, a player. And preferably, you can go on Facebook and find a local group that does buy, sell, and trade in your state. That way, the seller can save on shipping, you can meet, you can shoot the marker, and you can do a cash deal. So my advice is look for these guns first from individual sellers on Facebook in local groups and friends at your field. The good news is the price increase did not hit the Vanquish as much as it hit the GEO 3. So if you cannot find that GEO 3 without an IV core for $450, $400 in that range, so say you're priced out of that range or you just can't find the gun, go get yourself a $350 Empire Vanquish. It's a little bit longer, but it shoots just as smooth and the ergonomics are wonderful. So sometimes you can even get a freak kit with it. That's an added bonus. So if you cannot afford the king of the used market right now, that's the GEO 3, go look for a Vanquish. The GEO 3 is just ergonomically perfect for you. There's no extra fat on this gun. It's milled down to literally nothing. When you look at the front of the body, you can see how close to the regulator threads that front of the body is milled. It's beautiful. It's not necessarily flashy or gaudy like some of the old Bob Long guns. It's very simple and utilitarian. The ergos are perfect, the shot quality is perfect, the paint handling is out of this world, and the reliability is up to that Planet Eclipse standard. There's one last part of this video that makes the GEO 3 series so special, and that's how easy it is to maintain. We're going to kick it on over to old Greg in his mansion as he goes through some routine maintenance on the Planet Eclipse GEO 3.
Welcome to the kitchen table. When you're gonna take it out, you got two pieces of the bolt. You take this, you can push the O-ring straight through. As you can see, he's probably shot a couple cases through this. So we're gonna clean this off. Obviously, you're not gonna ever clean all of the old grease off, but you're gonna clean it off as best you can. Same with this can. And then we're gonna go here and we're gonna get the inside, because a lot of this dirt and grease, as you see, is gonna be built up on this inner can O-ring. That's where most of the friction is gonna take place. So we really wanna make sure that we clean this off, and we really wanna make sure that we re-grease it. Take this, wipe the old grease off. This doesn't look like it took that much, you know, wear, doesn't have that much grease, or sorry, that much dirt on it. We're just gonna wipe the old grease off anyway.
Is that tip of this made out of Delrin? Is that like Delrin on the IV core?
I believe it's not Delrin on the IV core, but I'm not 100% sure. I know a similar bolt design is the Mac Devs, and they do use Delrin for the cone for their prop shaft, but I don't think that's Delrin. I'm not 100% sure. I really couldn't tell you. I really don't grease this generally though.
No, I do the O-ring on there.
Yeah, just the way, I mean, it's with any, you know, marker, you're gonna wanna grease, lightly grease moving O-rings. That's it. So, you know, lightly grease that guy. And then you wanna I usually take my pinky, a little bit of grease on there, and make sure you're getting that inner can O-ring really well.
Yep, just wipe it on the edge and then get from the edge inside, because that is a friction point on this drivetrain.
Nice friction point, and it's, you know, light coating. Don't need to do too much, don't need to cake it, but just make sure it's there.
This thing was so over-lubed when I got it with like hater sauce.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, you know, you throw it, it throws, especially if it's thinner lube like the hater or something else, you know, that Tech T lube's really thin, it can throw it into the solenoid and cause you know, just more hiccups and issues. So we're just gonna lightly coat these 3 bolt O-rings. And on the IV core, that's about all you need to do. Yeah. Now, some people like to lightly grease the surface. Moving surfaces, I generally don't do that. I figure if you put a good amount, like not too much, but a good amount of grease on this, it'll throw it onto the surface anyway as the bolt cycles. So just put everything back together. Everything's clean in there. Slap it in, and you're good to go. Actually, now that I see,
really quick.
Somebody used hater sauce or something on this before, because you can see that blue dye on the thread. So I'm gonna go wipe that off real quick, just to make his marker look cleaner. But
yeah, even if you're new to high ends, you can figure out an IV core. You can figure out the base 3 core. It's really an easy gun to understand and an easy gun to work on.
And nowadays, we have YouTube. I mean, if you're somewhat mechanically inclined, you can follow instructions, look up whatever your marker is, and, you know, tear down or break down or maintenance or whatever keyword you want to on YouTube. You'll probably find it. You'll probably be able to follow it and troubleshoot. You know.
In terms of like